at some point we do have to start talking about Bitcoin's security model. And the halving is a double-edged sword at this point because now your network security is down to about 0.8% per year. And I think that there is a question as to what level is too low. I don't know that 0.8 is too low to secure a trillion-dollar network that's still, tens of billions of dollars per year in security spending to the mining community, but it's certainly less compelling than it has been historically. And if you get down to 30, 0.3% or 0.1% or whatever it is, at some point either a fee market needs to develop or there's going to be a breakdown in Bitcoin's core security model.
We are seeing some of that fee model with the ordinals activity lately. Does that make you optimistic at all?
And I wrote about this during the report. I think that everybody, the irony is that everybody should be rooting for Udi and Eric and ordinal theory to kind of take hold. And instead you've got, the Bitcoin religious that just, of course, they hate it because, why not? But, one of the things that I wrote about in a later section at the investment trend section is, Bitcoin essentially long-term has four different options, right? There's either going to be a fee market that develops, and it'll be thanks to something like inscriptions and ordinals or other kind of Bitcoin layer 2 demand. You will ultimately find people starting to agitate for a switch to proof of stake. And this could potentially it sounds crazy now just based on where the kind of Bitcoin community is, but you can imagine a scenario where Bitcoin gets financialized and, half of the Bitcoin in the world is ultimately managed, by, regulated financial custodians on behalf of, basically, we've basically created digital gold, and it's the same as the old players and kind of incumbents that are custodying these assets. That makes it a little bit easier, on margin to have that conversation at some point in the future. If the majority of the kind of economic voting interest says this network is no longer secure, we need to kind of fork it to proof of stake. Third way would be, you think about the 21 million Bitcoin cap as a soft cap versus a hard cap, right? So in other words, there is some lower bound to security that we should be spending as a network. The fee market is not maturing. We must maintain proof of work as an alternative to proof of stake. Otherwise, what do we just build all this for? If the BlackRock and three other banks can just make the ultimate kind of network decisions at scale. That might be an alternative that people take seriously because they'll say, okay, 0.5% annual inflation destroys the 21 million Bitcoin meme, but at the same time, it allows us to incentivize these third-party, energy-intensive actors to secure the network. And that is a trade-off that we're willing to make because, look, that's still better than gold, right? That's still better than any other kind of fiat currency, and there's kind of a natural equilibrium there. And then option 4 is irrelevance. Long term, because you can't secure a network with negligible fees that's measured in the trillions. The security model just doesn't work. So, I put in the report, I think it's equal probability before those four, but the one outcome, and I think the one kind of future of the world that everybody should be rooting for if you're in the Bitcoin community is bucket one, which is that a fee market materializes and it actually costs money to generate Bitcoin transactions on chain. And then you do push out some things like payments to, layer 2s. I just wish that, at some point in the last 6 years, we would have seen any sign of life in the Lightning market. But so far, I just don't think that anyone should be overly bullish on
2024 could be the year of Lightning, Ryan. Who knows?
Next year is always the year of Lightning.
Yeah, I know. That's always how it's been since I've been here anyway.
I will say the one thing that gives me pause is knowing that, shit talking against Lightning or even coming across as shit talking Lightning does feel a little bit like betting against David Marcus and Lightspark. And there are some good teams that are building, on Lightning protocol. So I don't want to bet against David, but I do think that he might. Sometimes this happens where you just get so jaded and so emotionally scarred from a traumatic experience that you can't possibly imagine, someone else figuring out what you didn't. And if Lightspark can't figure out, how to make Lightning apps work, I think it'll mostly be because, David went through the Libra treatment at Facebook. and just the full ire of the state, going to block what they were trying to do with a private stablecoin, and then extrapolated that to a private stablecoin will never work, or these kind of public-private partnerships will not work at scale. So I need to build on Bitcoin. But who knows? That'd be a good conversation for me or you to have with him at some point.
Well, certainly. I it's interesting those four kind of ways that Bitcoin could handle the economic chain security discussion, right? At least two of those feel like they could result in forks. And what's fairly interesting about that is now we have an ETF, right? And so how does Wall Street handle a fork? That could get very interesting, I think, over time. But I guess one high level question for you: you don't think that this is the chain security budget of Bitcoin is not going to be a factor in 2024? We can continue to kick that can down the road, can we not?
Yeah. So I guess what I mean is not necessarily that it's going to be a factor and people need to worry about the security of the network, but at some points, if this is not addressed and people start to see this dwindling, fee market or issuance rate as a liability for long-term security, ultimately that begins to get priced in. But it gets priced in very slowly, and I think the way that would get priced in is net in favor of something like Ethereum, right?
See. Okay.
Or another asset. So kind of closing the loop on the first part of the conversation. I think to the extent that Ethereum outperforms in like the medium term versus Bitcoin in particular, and that will probably be one of the factors.
To continue leveling up your crypto game, then you need to get on the Bankless newsletter. It's the world's most popular crypto email and is completely free. Just click below to sign up.